The X100F is the fourth iteration of the popular fixed lens camera by Fujifilm. This new upgrade gets the latest sensor and autofocus system as well as other welcome additions. Whereas the differences between the X100S and X100T were more subtle, the X100F is a more interesting upgrade. The buttons on the rear have been reorganized and moved to the right side. The rear command dial is more precise to use and there is a second one on the front. The autofocus joystick is the best new feature on the camera. The focus ring on the lens is larger and can be used as a function ring for additional settings. There is a total of 7 function buttons on the camera, including this one on the front lever. The new menu system is more well organized and in addition to the traditional quick menu, you also get the My Menu page that allows you to save your favorite settings. The ISO shutter speed dial inherited from the X Pro 2 can require some getting used to and depending on your settings, the ISO values can appear upside down. But if you like that analog feel for exposure control, you are definitely going to like it. There are things that haven't changed from the previous X100T however. There isn't any weather sealing and the LCD screen is still fixed with no touch sensitivity. The hybrid viewfinder hasn't changed that much either. You can switch between an electronic and optical version as well as activate the small electronic rangefinder, but I rarely use the latter because I find it distracting. The optical viewfinder features real-time parallax correction, but when focusing close, it is better to switch to the EVF. The X100F features the third generation X-Trans sensor with 24 megapixel. Long story short, the image quality is the same as the flagship APS-C cameras. You get excellent dynamic range, excellent ISO performance, and a nice range of film simulation modes that are always a pleasure to use. Luckily, the camera doesn't seem to suffer from purple flare and grid artifacts as much as the X-T2 or X Pro 2. The X100F doesn't get 4K capabilities, but the video quality in 1080p has improved with more detail and less aliasing. You have more control over the image, a dedicated video mode, and the option of using a single AF point rather than just multi. A new sensor also means a new autofocus system. You have more AF points and more options including zone AF and wide tracking. Face detection is more reliable and the overall response is faster. The camera can shoot in continuous mode up to 8 frames per second with better buffer capabilities than its predecessor. It's not an action camera by any means, but you can definitely do more with it now. Like the previous models, the X100F uses a lift shutter mechanism which is quiet and allows you to sync flash at fast shutter speed. The battery is the same used on the X Pro 2 and X-T2, which means it lasts longer in comparison to the previous generation. There is a decent number of extra features like Wi-Fi, time-lapse, multiple exposure, different manual focus assist, and so on. However, exposure bracketing doesn't work with more than 3 shots, and the panorama mode can create some awful bending in certain situations. The new digital teleconverter mode gives you an equivalent of a 50mm or 70mm field of view while maintaining the 24 megapixel of resolution, which means the image is oversampled. It's not bad, but you lose some sharpness and it only works in JPEG mode. The 23mm f2 prime is still the same as the original X100. It has a decent bokeh and is very sharp across the frame except at close range where you need to step down to f4 for optimal results. But the real problem for me is the autofocus motor. It's not an internal mechanism and can be slow. More than once I ended up with misfocused shots of very simple scenes like this one, which is the same problem I encountered with X100S and X100T before it. The performance can decrease in continuous autofocus too. After 4th generation, I think it's time for Fujifilm to make this lens faster. I personally have a soft spot for the X100 series. I like the combination of the compact retro design, excellent image quality, and enjoyable user experience. So even though there are still a few imperfections, the X100F is the best version yet, and can certainly be called a relevant improvement over the X100T. It's not cheap, but if you like the concept, it's one of those cameras you'll be tempted to bring with you wherever you go.